Hello, everybody. Always Dizzy here. So I am back with my recap from round six from the 2024 New Year's Open. This was a 9 round tournament, and I had just in the previous round won my second game. So at this point in the tournament, I was now 2 out of 5. So didn't have a good start, but I did win my last game. So I was hoping to just repair as much as I could at this point. I figured I wouldn't end up having a great tournament, but maybe I can try to minimize and mitigate the damage that has been done. So round six. So this would have been my third and last game of the second day. And I was paired up against Lucas Yao. So this is very interesting. So I think I was looking in the wrong camera, but Lucas Yao is 7 years old, which is not weird. I mean, half the players there were like little kids. But what is weird is seeing, like, I remember at one point in between rounds, I saw a bunch of adults, and then juxtaposed next to them were a bunch of little kids around. It was including Lucas, but all around his height, and literally they are, I don't even know, like 3 feet, and they're just it's really weird to see that. It's surreal to see that because they are playing at such a high level, but they're just little kids. It's always, it's strange. It's not my first time seeing that, but it's surreal to see. Anyways, what makes this interesting is that Lucas is literally a child prodigy, not just in chess, but in many facets of life. So he's like a literal genius. Okay. And so I'm going to share his photo. I think it's fine to share because this is, he's actually a public figure, you could say. Whoops, sorry, I did not mean to show that. I want to show this. So this is my young opponent, Lucas. He was a friendly kid, seemed very sociable, hanging out with his friends in between rounds. But yeah, that was my young opponent. And he's literally a genius, as I say. So first of all, he's an actor. He's on, let me show this now. So he's actually on this is his IMDb profile. So it's public information. So it's fair to show. And yeah, so he's been in some Netflix series. So Turner and Hooch, and a mixtape, and another one. So he's a concert pianist. Just reading his profile here, he's been invited to play at Carnegie Hall for winning top awards in national and international music competitions. He's like a chess champion for his age group, I believe, and we're just getting started here. When he was when he was 5. So when he was 3, so he learned to do multiplication and division when he was 3 years old. He could count in 11 languages when he was 4. And when he was 6, he could recite pi up to 1,000 digits. When he was 6 years old, I'm still picking my nose at 6. Still pick my nose now, no, but it's crazy. And that's just like a small reflection of his capabilities, and and we can just see a very quick excerpt of him playing the piano here. Whoops. This is my opponent. 7 years old. I might have been younger actually in this video. It's probably like 5 or 6 in the video. yeah, it's just amazing. So anyway, just wanted to give some context of who my opponent was. Let me get back to the game. So yeah, that's my opponent, and that I saw this. I think I looked him up before I played him, and that kind of made me nervous because, I mean, it's one thing to be good at chess, but if you're an actual little genius, it means that he could just whip up some crazy combination on the fly during the game. So my chess knowledge and experience isn't like, he might be able to trump that with his just genius brain. Okay. Anyways, so he's rated 14. Oh, shoot. I forgot to put I usually put information up here. I forgot to do that. I'm going to pause the video and I guess I'll stitch these together. So let me do that now. Okay, sorry about that. I have it up here now. Normally I don't forget to add that there, but I did this time. So my opponent was rated 1471 and I was black. And yeah, let's take a look here. So he played e4, played c5, knight f3, d6. He played bishop e5. So the canal or the Moscow variation, usually when white plays this, it means they don't really want to play theory so much and they don't want it to be super sharp. I don't love seeing it because it does lead to, I don't know, it kind of leads to a lot of like non-Sicilian type positions, but it's fine. I played knight d7, which I think might have surprised him a little just because I could just kind of sense it when I looked at him. It's not super common. Well, I mean, it's not uncommon, but the most common here is bishop d7. But bishop d7 leads to very, very drawish positions if white wants. So I like to play knight d7. It gives black more opportunities to avoid a draw. And he played a4 here. So I'm not sure if my opponent was less just unfamiliar with knight d7, because I think, like, I was thinking that a4 might have made more sense with bishop d7, but at the same time, I don't know, it seemed a little weird because I can play a6 here and then he retreats, and I don't know if that was worth playing a4 for. But I think when I looked at it with the engine was okay with it. And I think it is a theoretical move, a4. But yeah, I just played a6. And he retreated to e2. Played knight gf6. Plays knight c3. Don't really have anything to say about these moves. They're all very natural. Yeah, so my next move, the computer didn't love. And when I say that, I mean, it doesn't hate it either. But right now, the position, the eval is equal. And then on my next move, it goes to plus 0.5. Now, I was on the fence about this move, and I can't really remember why I decided to play it. Yeah, I don't know why I played this move. I guess I just wanted something. I know I didn't put it on the board yet, if you're wondering. But I guess I just wanted something kind of solid. But yeah, I don't really know why I did play it. I played e5. I guess I just didn't want to deal with d4, but I don't know. It's slightly unusual for me to play such a move here. My opponent played d3. Bishop e7, and then we castled. So nothing to write home about yet. Position, it's pretty normal. Yeah, my opponent played h3, which might seem slow, but this is kind of a slow position. So my opponent can he can play such moves. I wonder if maybe he was wanting to play bishop e3 and then he didn't like knight g4. Maybe that's why he played h3, but h3 is okay. I played b6. So I like this move, and I think the computer liked it too. I think I wanted to play d5 here, starting to open up the center and get a bit more space for my pieces. But it's attacked twice by white's knight on c3 and pawn on e4. So simply I was just trying to get my bishop to b7 to allow me to play d5. So b6, bishop e3. Okay, he does play bishop e3, so that is probably why he played h3 first. I played bishop b7, trying to play d5 still. And my opponent plays queen d2, and I continue with d5. And I liked, once I was able to play d5, I felt good about it. It's nice to, in the Sicilian as black, to be able to play d5. He captured on d5. I take with the knight, and we trade like so. So yeah, here I was feeling fine. Position is probably pretty equal. I've gotten space, and I felt like I kind of have like a reverse Maroczy bind here as black. So yeah, I thought this was decent. My opponent plays rook fe1, and I don't really have any real ideas here. I played h6. Again, I didn't have like a purposeful reason to have played it. I don't think. But I just thought it would be a decent prophylactic move to stop stuff like knight g5 in some cases. Give my king some luft, and I don't know. It seems reasonable. My opponent played knight h2, which screams f4, right? And then we finally get to a position where something happens. So on this move, I thought for a long time. Did I document? No, I didn't write how long I thought on it. Okay, well, not super long. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Again, my time management this tournament was actually pretty good. So I'm just reading my notes here. Yeah, so the move I played is very uncharacteristic for me. It's literally like one of it's one of the last moves that you would equate to something that I would play. It's just the complete opposite of my style. And it actually ended up being an inaccuracy. Which is funny because I actually thought I was being really brave, and I was being brave. And it wasn't the worst move in the world, but it was inaccurate. So anyways, the thing is here, after knight h2, yeah, he's really threatening to play f4. And the thing is, I wanted to play f5. I really wanted to play f5 because we're threatening f4 and maybe g5, or I don't know. We have a lot of options there. So I really wanted to play f5, but then I saw f4 in response, and that bothered me, and I couldn't figure out a reply to that. Now the funny thing is, Stockfish says that f5 was the best move and that f4 wouldn't have been any problem, but for some reason I kind of like freaked out about this. Or I didn't freak out, but I didn't like this. I just didn't know what to do after f4. I didn't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, and then I just wrote in my notes that since I didn't have a particular idea or plan in this position, I didn't want to play it. But yeah, and the way to continue isn't super obvious. I think when I was looking at was the engine. Um, so maybe I should look into that a little bit deeper, and maybe with maybe with my coach or who I haven't seen in a while. Been too busy, but anyways, yeah, that was actually the best way to continue, just F5. But in any case, since I didn't like F4, I decided to be brave and really play outside of my comfort zone. And there's a move that I saw that would prevent F4 from being playable. And so I played G5 to stop F4 so that I could play F5. And yeah, again, I really had to work out the guts to play G5 because again, this is totally not my style. I don't take I don't take risks, and I especially hate moving pawns in front of my king. So this is the complete opposite of the way I normally play. But I at the time I didn't see why I couldn't play it. I didn't see the downside. If H4, I think I could. Well, if H4, probably still F5, right? And yeah, I just didn't see why I couldn't play it, so I did. I played it and hoped for the best. So my opponent played bishop F3, and I traded, and then I played F5. So here I was feeling pretty good. Still a bit uncomfortable though. Like I felt the position was probably pretty decent for black, but again uncomfortable because this is not my style. This is not my style. He played queen c3. I played bishop f6, and he played queen b3 check. And I played king h7. My young opponent played queen d5. I think just trying to... Well, I mean, it centralizes the queen, and maybe he can be annoying later. I played a5. Kind of a nothing move. I just want to check the time situation here. Yeah, so my opponent had 38 minutes. I had 24. I think too, I didn't want my opponent to play a5. Yeah, so a5 makes sense. My opponent played bishop d2. Played queen e7. Because after bishop d2, there's a three-way discovery on e5. So I had to protect it. That's why I played queen e7. He played bishop c3, which started to frustrate me, or not frustrate me, started to worry me. Because, well, now he's got 4 pieces on e5 here. I played rook a d8, adding yet another defender. He prepares to, he prepares to double up on the e-file. And I played queen f7. Offering to trade queens and threatening to double up and protect the e-file. He accepts the trade and then plays rook at e1, continuing to attack on the e-file. So very natural move so far. And I played rook f7. Time situation, I'm at 21 minutes, he's at 34. Hasn't changed much. Then my opponent played knight d2. And as soon as he played that, I got a oh crap moment. Because, yeah, I mean, he's going to put the knight on c4. And this is going to be trouble. Because suddenly, I mean, b6 is defended, but he's also attacking d6. And his knight is just so good on c4. That was pretty worrying. But there was nothing I could do about letting his knight go to c4. And yeah, I mean, my opponent is only 7 years old. You know, so young, and just to retreat the knight and know positionally that putting it on c4 is good. I mean, wow, you know. But it's just because I mean, kids can be good at tactics and stuff, and this isn't rocket science, right? The knight is better on c4 than it is on f3. But again, 7, right? Okay. Anyways. I played king g6, just trying to get the king closer, and maybe I forget exactly, but my ideas. But I was thinking, I don't know, getting the king to help defend the e5 square, maybe. I don't know. I had ideas, so. And my opponent played f3. Maybe f3 just stops me from playing e4 if knight c4. That might have been the idea there. I played h5. h5, I'm basically just, I didn't see a way for me to improve my position, and I was lower on the clock, not tremendously so. I had like 19 minutes, but yeah, I think white was in the driver's seat, especially like he's threatening knight c4. My position is more defensive in nature because like his bishop is open, mine is defending. Excuse me. And yeah, I didn't see a way to. Again, white is the one pushing here, so I just played h5. He proceeds to knight c4, and then pay attention here. Okay, for the rest of the game, pay attention. Not that you weren't paying attention before, but pay extra attention here. Okay. So I played rook e6 because he is threatening, my opponent is threatening knight d6. And if I move this rook somewhere, then he can take on, wait, could he? Maybe he couldn't take on e6 there because it would still be defended 3 times. So I might have actually been okay there. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm just going to put on the engine. I'm just seeing if I made some other random move instead of the move I played, if I would have been okay. Yeah, apparently I could have. I could have made multiple moves. Yeah, so the move that the computer likes the most is actually h4. Maybe just freezing white's pawns. Maybe white has some ideas like this. I don't know. But in any case, I played rook e6 just because I didn't want his knight to get to d6. If you remember from, I forget what round it was. It might have been round 4. I think it was round 4 where I was winning, and then I let my opponent's knights infiltrate and harass me, and it also takes time to calculate that. So I just didn't want his knight to come in and I don't know. It's kind of scary. So I played rook e6 to stop knight d6, and he goes back to knight e3. Not sure what his idea was that. I go rook d6. Basically just passing the move back to him again. I didn't have any plans here. I was just waiting to see what he does. I was totally reacting. He goes back to knight c4. And I go rook d6. And then knight a3. Wow. So, yeah, this is a smart little kid, man. So now he's threatening knight b5, which is another way to come in and harass me. And that's a serious threat because, again, he's attacking both rooks, and I have to leave at least one rook on the e-file because he's attacking e5 3 times. So that scared me too. Knight a3, and again, white is the one with play here. I'm just reacting. So there were multiple ways to deal with this. The way I played was fine. So I played bishop d8, kind of just showing white that even if he puts the knight here, he's not going to c7. So I can then just shuffle like my other pieces around somewhere. He goes back to knight c4, realizing that knight b5 is kind of futile. And I went bishop f6. So before I played bishop f6, I paused my clock and I told my opponent, I said, I'm going to claim a draw here. And then he said, it's not a draw. Now, I thought it was. I was pretty sure it was, because I'm not going to claim a draw if I'm not sure. However, I know that my opponent's a genius, and so I thought I should give him the benefit of the doubt. Who is it for me to argue with a kid who, when he was 6, could recite pi up to 1,000 digits? You know. Now, technically, I could, maybe should have seeked an arbiter to check. However, if I was wrong, then I'm penalized, I think, like 2 minutes on the clock. And at the same time, I was kind of holding the position. So I wasn't super, if I was terrified that I'm just going to lose, like, it's obvious that I'm going to lose, then I would seek out an arbiter. But I was holding the position, and my opponent planted some seeds of doubt into me, so I kind of believed him. Now, it turns out I was actually correct. It is a draw. And what I think the issue is, I think my opponent might not have known how threefold works. I'm thinking in retrospect that he thought it has to be in a row, in sequence, 3 moves in a row, which it doesn't. It just has to be at any 3 points in the game, as long as it's the same person's turn to move. And so if we go back in time, that's why I was telling you, pay attention here. So let me just make sure I go back far enough. Okay, so this is the first time we get the position, because it's white's turn to move. This is the second time we get the position. And then when I go back to bishop f6, this is the third time we have the position. So this is a draw. But I think because my opponent moved the knight to a3 in between and it wasn't in a row, I think he just didn't know the rule. So yeah. So I said, okay, like I guess it's not a draw. And then then he played knight e3. I played rook d6. And he played knight c. Okay, sorry. Then he thought for about 3 minutes, and he played knight c4. And I'm like, okay, this has to be a draw now. Rook de6. I'm like, and then here I was 100% sure it's a draw. And if he contested again, I was going to seek an arbiter, because this, then there's no question about it. And so I stopped the clock again, and he agreed that, okay, he basically didn't contest the draw, but he was trying to win. He was trying to fight for a win. And I talked to him very briefly the next round, because he was sitting at my table. I told him like that it was actually a draw. And then I asked him, like, do you know about the 3, like, it doesn't have to be 3 moves in a row, but he kind of like he gave me kind of like a non-answer. And plus the round was just about to start, so we couldn't really talk fully. So I'm not 100% sure if he knew the rule or not. And I didn't want to like scare him or anything like that. So yeah, so it was a draw. I didn't mind the draw, even though my opponent was rated 200 points lower than me. And again, it's just going to drop my rating. If this kid keeps playing chess, he's going to be very strong. It could be easily a master or higher. Just like so many of these kids I do. Like a lot of these kids that I play when they're like 1,200, 1,400, 1,500, whatever, within a few years they become masters. Like literally, I could name 3 off the top of my head. 3, like in these videos up here, like these videos that I make on my YouTube channel. If we go back a few years, yeah, there's those kids. They're masters now. So this kid again, this Lucas, Mr. Lucas, if he keeps playing chess, he'll probably be a master. Yeah, or higher. So because of that, I'll take my draw. Then I can say I drew the genius Lucas Yao. You know, he was only 7, but it counts. Okay, so yeah, I didn't mind the draw. And when I put this into Lee Chess and the analysis, it says both sides played well. I'm just gonna look that up here. So the average center pawn loss was 17 and 20. No mistakes either side. There were a couple of inaccuracies. Yeah, so I think the E5 from me was a slight inaccuracy, but nothing major. It's like a 40 center pawn, 40 or 50 center pawn difference. The G5 was an inaccuracy, but you got to give me credit for being brave. It's in a tournament game where there's a lot on the line, you know, and I spent like $1,000 to go to the tournament and time traveling to play G5 and go way outside of my comfort zone. I give myself credit for that, even though it was inaccurate. There might have been some small stuff here or around here where I could have like pushed the pawns. So could white have, but we're talking very minuscule difference in evaluation, and it's not too critical. Okay. Yeah, so that was round 6, and after this, my score was 2.5 out of 6. So still pretty bad. 2.5, but it was better than how it started when I was like 1 out of 3 and then 1 out of 4. So now I'm 2.5 out of 6. So almost playing at 50%, and yeah, okay. So stay tuned for round 7, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.